just try to understand the vicious circle of poverty. So you should see, again I say that in economics the understanding of basics is very important, because definitely in many exams or in many previous year questions you will see that in prelims at least very basic and simple questions have been asked from economics, very basic and simple questions, right? Very easy, very basic questions. So if we talk about poverty, here you need to understand, so see, our focus is to make you understand the conceptual clarity here is very important, right? How one thing is related to another, this is very important, right? So let us try to understand how this there is a vicious circle of poverty. First, we see from the demand side of capital. So if there is underdevelopment, that is the country is not developing, the productivity will be low, right? So the industries will be producing less. Then if the production in the industries is low, the income will be less. That is the there will be less income of the people. Then when the income of the people is less, they will have less demand, they will demand less, and hence again there will be limited size of the market. When their demand is less, the companies will invest less, and hence there will be low capital formation. And when there is low capital formation, there will always be underdevelopment. So I'll explain you here again how all this is correlated. First we see that there is underdevelopment, right? There is underdevelopment. That is, a country is not developing, or there is lack of growth. If there is lack of growth, what is happening? The industries are not producing, right? So the production levels in the country is less. So when the production level is low, the incomes of the people is less, right? So people are not earning. When the income of the people is less, they demand less of goods and services. When the demand is less, they will invest. The investment by the companies will also be less, because people are not demanding only. And also there will be less of capital formation. What does it mean? That less amount of money will be invested to in the industries, right? So because the capital formation will be low, again there will be underdevelopment, right? So you can see how there is a vicious circle of poverty. Also, if we see from the supply side, under if there is underdevelopment, low productivity. If there is low productivity, the income is less. When the income is less, people save less, right? You can see here, people save less. When the less of money is saved in the banks, less money is available for the companies to invest, right? So even from the supply side you see that because less money is available for the companies uh, for investment, they won't be able to invest money in companies, right? In their businesses, and then again there will be underdevelopment. So you've seen how demand and supply side of capital influence the vicious circle of poverty. If the demand or supply of money or capital is less, how will there be a continuous vicious circle of poverty? Next, we see poverty in rural areas. So you can see here 27% of the Indian population lives in rural areas and below the poverty line. Then you can see 24% of the people in the urban areas and metropolitans fall below the poverty line of 32 rupees per day. So you can clearly see here that in rural areas around 27% of the population lives below the poverty line, and in urban areas 24% of the population in urban areas lives below the poverty line. And then if we see what are the causes of poverty, you can see here poor agriculture yield. So in rural areas, because the agriculture yield is less, that is the reason. Then debt from landlords, right? So they've taken loans, because the farmers have taken a lot of loans from the money lenders, so they are under continuous debt. Then seasonal crops, because the crops are seasonal and they engage in no other jobs, that is also a reason for rural poverty. See, poverty as a concept, we understand, but you need to know the exact difference, causes for poverty in the rural areas, and the reasons for poverty in the urban areas, right? Because the reasons for poverty in these two areas will be, they may overlap, but they definitely will be different, right? Next is gender based oppression is also there, right? So people who belong to the lower caste, they are not allowed to, do certain activities. Then also, because agriculture is based on monsoon, that might destroy the agriculture yield, or the crops also get infected, right? Due to pest attack or other reasons, right? So that is also a reason for poverty. And last is large family size. So too many people are dependent on the agriculture, and the family size is huge in rural areas. All these can be attributed as primary reasons for poverty in the rural areas. So please, there is no need for you to remember, or please don't try remembering it, but please try to have a fair understanding of the concept here, right? So understanding is important. Think on yourself that what can be the reasons of poverty in the rural areas. So we see, because agriculture is the primary occupation, and agriculture itself is dependent on monsoon, right? They have lack of irrigation facilities. Then they are always under continuous debt from the money lenders and the who exploit them, right? So you can cite those reasons here. Then we have primary reasons or causes of poverty in the urban areas. First, we have unemployment. So there is a large scale unemployment in the urban areas. That is a reason. Then low wages and high inflation. So this is also one of another reason that you will see that in many urban areas the wages are less, and there is high inflation. So everything is very costly in the urban areas, and it is costly still. They are able to earn very less. And another major reason is illiteracy. So illiteracy is here again because most of the people illiterate, and hence they're not able to get jobs, right? Low benefits from government policies, corruption in one form or the other. So there is corruption, there is less because the government usually gives out most of the schemes for the rural poor, right? And again, large family size is also an issue here, right? Then if we see impact of poverty, illiteracy and high dropout rate. So because poverty is there, people cannot support education, right? So there is a high dropout rate. People are not educated, right? They drop out of schools, and hence there is a large illiteracy. And when there will be illiteracy, there will be unemployment, right? So you see how poverty and unemployment are connected. If there is poverty, there will be unemployment. Then next is human trafficking and child labor. So India also has a lot of child labor. You can see here, because people are poor, they are not able to support their families, and hence even the children of that family, they engage in child labor, and even begging. And also there is human trafficking. Also there is drug addiction and malnutrition. So there is malnourishment in children is seen. Even drug addiction is there, because there are no jobs, people have nothing to do, they get addicted to bad things. Then there is civil unrest, increased crime rate and suicide. So you can see in one word I have mentioned clearly all the things you can see here in one word, right? That there is civil unrest, right? There is unrest among the people. There is the crime rate increases, and also it may lead to suicide because people are out of jobs. Dwelling of slums and other poor health conditions. So because whenever there is poverty, people move to areas close to urban areas, and there is development of slums. People dwell in slums, and which leads to poor health conditions, right? So there is lack of proper living necessities in these slums.